So the purpose of this is to keep the conversation going on criminal justice reform. I'm not going to suggest that the bill in its current form is perfect. I think there are some changes that are going to be necessary, but if we don't do this, then we're sort of at the end of the line for the session. And I know a lot of time and energy has been spent on this subject matter, especially by Representative Blackman, Representative Thoma, some others. It's an issue that I've been interested in. I find myself admittedly somewhere kind of in the middle on this issue. And so my commitment to you is that if, presuming that the committee is okay with moving the bill forward, we're going to continue discussions with folks on both sides of the issue. That's going to be the prosecutors, defenders, it's going to be victims, advocates, the whole gamut of folks, as we try to get to a place where everybody, if possible, is comfortable. At the end of the day, this is about making sure that we're keeping violent people off the streets, that we are acknowledging victims in any sort of injurious situation, but also making sure that we have a system that's smart, that incentivizes folks who are in prison to get their act together, go through some programs that will make them more productive members of society so that when they get out, they don't recidivate, because that causes additional victims. So this is admittedly a tough issue, but one that I think is worthy of our consideration, worthy of an ongoing continued discussion. We will have a few weeks left in session, presumably, to try to get to agreement. And if, I'm hopeful that we'll get there. I can't make any promises, but I'm looking forward to working with everybody that's interested in this issue from all the different perspectives that are out there as we try to get to something that's good policy. One area of focus I want to mention that I will be looking at in particular is I actually think there's relatively open and broad support for the idea of if somebody goes through a rigorous program that's meaningful in the system, that the idea that they be able to serve their term or part of their term outside of prison, so under supervision, I think folks are open to that. But the programs do have to be meaningful. It's not something where you just check a box and suddenly 50% of your sentence is reduced. So in my conversations with folks, I'm cautiously optimistic that we can get there. Of course, we won't have a shot of getting there if this bill does not advance. So I am hoping for your affirmative recommendation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator, is this an entirely new bill, or is this a bill that passed out of here, or which bill is it?
Madam Chair, there will be others who can speak to in greater detail than what I'm about to say, but it's not the same bill. There have been some discussions already that have led to changes. For instance, parts of the bill are only prospective now as opposed to retroactive, and I'll let other folks speak to that. So a lot of similarities to another bill that went before here. Admittedly, I did not look at that bill. I just looked at sort of this and conversations with other folks. Also knowing that this is a work in progress. And so I can let them speak to how compared to the bill that a bill I never saw, a House bill I never saw, compared to this one.